G'day guys and welcome back to the Iron Empire. This time I help out on an XY Falcon Wagon plus a new car to the channel. Something a little bit different today. I'm going to be helping Jake with this XY wagon. He's come a long way on it, but he's struggling a little bit with a little bit of motivation, and the assembly side of things can be pretty draining, and I totally understand that. It happens to all of us. So I've come down here to spend the day with him to try and get some assembly done on this car and get it a little bit further along, because it's not really far off of going back to the owner. So we're going to uncover it, have a look around what we got to do, get stuck into it. Then a little bit later today, there might be a new addition to the fleet. So we'll see how that pans out. All right, so just taking a look around this car. Where we're going to start is the loom has to go back in it. I'm going to pull the engine bay side of the loom through. I'm going to re-tape it all so it's nice and neat, and try and run everything to its spot. And then we might start working our way through the car, just getting it a little bit closer to assembled. We're going to start off by doing some looming, retaping, and it will make that look a hell of a lot cleaner, but it looks like a pretty unmodified loom, so that shouldn't be too bad. Alrighty guys, so this loom needs a little bit of a clean down this end, but it's pretty tidy down there. The engine bay end is all cleaned up now. What I like to do with these things is strip off any of the foreign wires that look like have been tacked in, just get rid of those back to the original loom. And I always wipe them down with, I've put it down somewhere now, but I always just get a rag and thinners. And thinners will clean the tape up like new. And the good thing about thinners is it also takes off any overspray. Engine bays often get covered in black. It takes the wires back down to the original color, so you know what the hell you're looking at, and it'll get the loom to a nice black finish. I tried not to strip this thing completely. I ripped off any of the brittle tape, and I re-loomed some of the bits with fresh tape that were looking a bit scrappy, but overall it's pretty good honest loom. Once we drag this into the car, all the way up to this grommet here, that side is all engine bay, and you will, as you start to drag it through the engine bay, which comes in behind the booster there, which should have been left out, as we start dragging that through, it'll start to become obvious where everything goes. We'll get that laid in as much as possible, and then any help we need, we'll then go from there. I wanna know, are you having fun? Are you doing all the things you want to do? Are you having fun? I hope you are. Are you happy? Are you doing all the things you want to do? 'Cause I'm not having that much fun here without you. I've got to shoot off now because I'm about to take a look at potentially picking up a new car. Let's hit the road.
Black and green light, falling on that black and hot. I'll have to pull the pipe, sorry. No way, good way, take it up, go forth and try. Run it on, count it for 6 days. We're up to what, kind of freaking more close right now. Come on, it's one day. Think you got a burn on the eyes. Apparently, blood drain, place like cold bloody body. But I love you. Forever. the light. We are walking across the street, straight through the urban to the end of time. And through the third beauty, I hear on the good one. I love you. Love this one. Forever.
Alright, so this is it, Ford Thunderbird. I don't even know the model, 64, 5 or 6. It's my favourite model of the Thunderbirds. I've always liked these, and a few years ago I was adamant I was going to get one. That phase sort of died out, but I stumbled across this car. A friend of mine, Neil, who owns Classic and American Imports down here in Port Adelaide, he had this car in his storage shed. He had done a bit of work to it, he'd done the brakes on it, but there was a few little things left to do to it, and basically he just needed to clear some space and get some room for some other stuff that's going on. So he offered me this car at a really good price as an unfinished project. Spare of the moment, I decided I'm gonna get it. It's a 390 big block V8. It's got disc brakes on it. I think it's got swing away steering, but they're a bloody cool thing. They have a lot of luxuries. I'm still yet to look over this thing. I've literally pulled up, jumped in. We're currently cruising down to Jake's shop in Woodville, and I'm going to have a good look around it, and we'll be getting stuck into this one really, really soon.
I put fat white walls on it.
Would you?
Yeah, like the full tire white walls. I love it.
I just got the Thunderbird back here at Jake's place, and it's got the tick of approval from the boys. We just went for a little hot lap around the car park. It is running like a bag of dicks. Needs a good tune, so I might just start with might just blow the carby out, throw some plugs in it, and yeah, see how I go from there. But first of all, needs a good clean. We need to polish up those hubcaps, get them on, because it looks a bit like a dung at the moment. But yeah, keen to get stuck into this one. But for now, we have to continue on with this XY. This one's gonna have to wait for another episode. What are you using here, Jake?
Yeah, so just using some real fine steel wool and water in a spray bottle. This is not what's inside of it, it's just water. Put some on.
I feel like this might have come up in one of my other episodes on the Dodge.
That's what you do when you have a real pitted bar, cleans it up.
Alright, so what Jake's doing back here, we've got to repair the dash mat, the crash pad for this car. But a restored one I think is around, I don't know, between $800 and $1,000, and there just isn't room in the budget for this car. So we're doing things like saving the door trims with a few little repairs here and there. So basically the crash pad is buzzed out where all the cracks are, and then it's filled and sanded and wrapped with vinyl, and it'll look pretty damn good. It's never going to be as good as a restored one, but it is a far cheaper option, and it'll be plenty good enough for this car. Alright, so in between a few jobs here on the XY this morning, I've got a customer brought in a set of option 52 wheels for his XB Falcon. They're not going to be restored, they're going to be left original, but he wanted the red wheels on them. So while the car's up, I'm going to throw a set of red wheels on the 12 slots that are on this XY. Although it should have Fairmont trims, they are getting hard to find, and once again, it's budget build, so the 12 slots will have to do. But the red wheels on the 12 slots will look really good, especially once it's got a GS stripe on it. All right, so while Jake's working on some, what are you doing, the body loom or what?
The rear loom.
The rear loom. He's doing some tidying up of the rear loom to run through the car. Rear loom and tow bar. Is he gonna have a tow bar on it?
No, removing the fucking previous.
Removing dodgy wiring from the tow bar, standard. And I'm up front still working on some of the connections for the front loom, and I've got the voltage regulator out here. And I should have taken some video or footage or a photo before, but this was filthy. It had rust coming through the edges. It was caked with like build-up grime and dirt, and you couldn't even read it. So what I've done with this one now, and what I've done with the last XY, is I try to save the original, because obviously you can buy these things. Well, I assume you can buy them new, but why fix what's not broken? I've cleaned this all up with Prepsol. I didn't use thinners because I didn't want to take off the factory screen printing there. And I gave it all a coat of satin black. You can see where it's covered the edges here, but then I've wiped off the top surface to expose the lettering. And what I've done with the actual housing is cleaned off all the rust on the outside. Unfortunately, the sections that were exposed, the anodizing has gone missing. So to get that back, I literally raided Jake's cupboards there and picked a bunch of different colors that I could find that would somewhat make a goldy green. So there was a bit of green in there. I just done a few dust coats of green. I used a bit of copper primer, and then there was also a little bit of brass in there. I just dusted all that on until I got a goldy-ish off gold color and give it a coat of clear. By the time we put this all back together, that looks pretty good. All right, so I've got that regulator in place. As you can see, it's not 100%, but it looks a damn sight better than what would have been in there. It's just those little 1%ers that make an engine bay look that much better. Morning. That was all head. All right, so morning guys, we're down day 2 at the shop, and we want to get a little bit done on the wagon, just get the front end assembled so it looks much more complete. And then I'm going to spend a couple of hours on the Thunderbird getting it a little bit tidied up and ready for road use. So that includes painting the skirts on the side. I want to probably give the wheels a coat of paint, maybe change some tires and give it a general clean off. So let's get stuck into that.
I don't wanna know.
What are you doing down there, you scallywag?
What I'm doing is pulling myself.
Alrighty, so that's gonna do for now. That's given Jake a little bit of motivation to carry on, but we've got a bit of progress. The front end looks really good, all complete now. Well, not 100% complete, but damn sight better than what it was. Long way further ahead. But now I've got to turn my attention to the Thunderbird, and I think it would be wise to start with the mechanics. I've got a set of plugs and an air filter to put in this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It does run very rich, so it's probably just because it's been sitting around. So I'm going to tackle that this morning, and then if we've got time, do some wheels, maybe go to the paint shop, get some paint matched up. Alright guys, so as you'll see, I now have the Thunderbird at home. There was a little bit more that went on down at the shop, but the videos is getting a bit too long-winded, and it's taking ages to edit because there's all sorts of things happening. A little bit of mechanical stuff. I did get the hubcaps thrown on the car just to make it look a little bit nicer. I did manage to get the car home. It did put up a bit of a fight. You'll see all of that on an upcoming episode of the Iron Empire. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the T-Bird. I bloody love the thing, it's so cool. Once again, please check out the online store. There is plenty of stock. I've got long sleeves and flannies and stuff getting ready for the winter, and there will be hoods coming up soon. So check out the online store, and I will see you all soon for another upcoming episode of the Iron Empire. Cheers, guys.